about a lot of launch titles is that they are very impressive to show off the capabilities of a new console, but they don't typically age well in the long run. Infamous Second Son thankfully strays away from that, and I could say that this is one of the best games to define the PS4. While this is not a direct sequel per se, it is still great that Sucker Punch would expand on this universe. I mean, it's an interesting idea, but the endings in Infamous 2 pretty much wrapped up all the loose ends, so it's a bit weird that they would try to force a reason as to why humans and conduits are still living together. The story begins 7 years after Infamous 2, where the few remaining conduits have been rebranded as bioterrorists and imprisoned in a facility called Curtin K by a powerful conduit named Brooke Augustine who has concrete-based powers. She establishes a highly trained military force known as the Department of Unified Protection to lock down all major cities and capture anyone who poses a potential threat. Our main character is a rebellious young graffiti artist named Delsin Rowe, played by Troy Baker, who often gets into trouble with his brother Reggie, played by Travis Willingham, who is the local sheriff. After Delsin is captured by Reggie for vandalizing a billboard, an armored vehicle crashes near their Native American reservation, and 3 conduits escape. Delsin comes into contact with one of them, and absorbs his smoke-based powers. The 2 are immediately caught by Augustine, who tortures the community for information by impaling them with concrete shards. Reggie informs Delsin that the only way to cure them is by using Augustine's powers to remove them, so they venture off to Seattle to gain more abilities to eventually defeat her. Already, that seems like a departure from the lore, since we started in fictional cities in place of real ones before moving on to an actual city. We had Empire City, which was based off New York, New Marais based off New Orleans, and now just Seattle. Anyways, while there, Delsin encounters the other escapees and helps them use their powers for good or evil. The other characters we meet are a former drug addict with neon powers named Fetch, and a nerdy video gamer with digital video powers named Eugene. You can also absorb their powers as well, and while they are fun to use and a lot of abilities are really creative, they pretty much have the same core mechanics. They each have standard shots, missile attacks, throwable grenades, and a super attack that needs to be built up with karma before you can use it. There are some differences, like smoke allows you to dash through fences and through vents, while neon allows you to run really fast and scale walls in seconds. The 4th and final power you gain is of course concrete, which is really underused and gives you no opportunities to use it. Even the upgrade tree is a little bland. Sure, you can increase damage and drain speed, but there are very few unique abilities. Even the whole karma system is poorly implemented, and offers no real perks like in the previous games. There are several opportunities where you can choose between good or evil actions, and while they may offer different story missions, they feel completely inconsequential. The map feels smaller than before, but it is still filled with plenty of collectibles, side missions, and enemies to keep you busy. Some of these activities are pretty cool, such as the graffiti art that makes full use of the motion controls. How this works is that you tilt the controller on its side, give it a shake, and then spray a cardboard stencil. The controller even makes a hissing sound, which is a nice touch. Each district is controlled by the D.U.P, and you can complete a variety of objectives to cripple their hold until you are given the opportunity to vandalize their billboard and take on a more challenging fight, whereupon you are rewarded with the ability to fast travel. I will say that the graphics and particle effects look amazing, and the whole city really feels alive during every time of day. Neon lights illuminate the environment, and the sun flare is pretty realistic, even though it can be a bit excessive. Despite my criticisms, I think this is a good game. It has fun gameplay, a gorgeous environment, and it makes you feel powerful while offering some challenge. Of course, there are quite a few downsides. The story is really weak and honestly doesn't make much sense once we learn the motive of the villain, so it's quickly forgotten about. The karma system isn't implemented very well, and both sides feel almost identical, and the lore is slightly broken while forcing the good ending to Infamous 2 as canon. I'll admit, I do like the graffiti art motif that the game has, but the overall tone feels like a huge departure from previous games. As a whole, good game, but flawed. It's nowhere near as good as Infamous 2, but I still got a lot of enjoyment out of it.